Yeah, in the center area. So be very careful here. It's very easy to get spotted. Post looks clear. Oops. So crouch down. Make sure you got your 99%. Okay, so climb down to this trapdoor, and you'll be once again in another duct. And what you want to do is crawl to the other side of the bow now. Keep on going.
So this duct method is really useful for going from east to west, is it?
Right, east to west and west to east.
Yeah, I mean right side or
right,
left side.
Right, so basically the right or the left side of the ship.
Is really handy, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Then when you get to the other side, just go underneath that trapdoor and press triangle to climb up. And as soon as you climb up here, just lay down, get the octo camo pattern from the ground here. Just try to keep your camo at 99% as much as possible. Then you round the corner here. There may be some Haven troopers patrolling here, so be very careful as you go through. At this point, it's probably a good idea to have your Mark II tranquilizer equipped. So just in case you see any guards, you can take them out. Because at this point, there are a lot of Haven troopers wandering around. So it's very easy to get spotted. The other thing is that there's a sniper. So as you're heading to the south, right now we just got out of the trapdoor. We're going to head to the south. And as you're heading to the south, just kind of crawl along and look up. Because at the south, you'll see there's a wall. And at the top of that wall, there's actually a sniper. You want to take her out. Okay. So once she's asleep, it's safe to move on. What we're doing now is we're just going to head to the south. So basically just sneak along to the south. Keep an eye on your right-hand side because there's a gecko in that center area, so don't get spotted. When you get around to the southern wall, just going to stop. And look to the right. Make sure nobody's there. And we kind of hide behind this pillar here. Wait for the coast to clear. You'll see a Haven trooper on the other side, and there's also the gecko here. So if you want, you can put that Haven trooper to sleep. You don't have to. It might make things a little bit easier. Although it's kind of hard because there's explosions going off everywhere. Once the coast looks clear, just kind of run out behind these boxes. The basic strategy here is if you see a Haven trooper, just put them to sleep to be on the safe side, because it is really tough.
This makes it much easier.
It makes it much easier. And there's the gecko in the center, so we're already having enough problems just avoiding the gecko, so just try and put the Haven troopers to sleep.
Right.
And that way you can just focus on the gecko.
So we're almost there because we're trying to aim for the door.
Okay. Careful, this gecko may drop down. Haven troopers stay low. And when the coast looks clear, it looks like you're safe. Quickly run over to the door, press triangle, and just jam on the button really quick. Like your life depends on it, because it does. And once the door opens, run in. Go around this corner here. And there you go.
Wow.
Yeah!
Whoa. I'm impressed, Sean.
All right. Now, this was really, for me, the first time I played it, I got spotted, but I didn't care. I was tapping the triangle button.
Right.
I got killed by a gecko.
Yeah, it's really hard if you're in alert phase and you're trying to open that thing, because you have to stand there and turn it.
Yes.
And the gecko's shooting at you, all the Haven troopers are shooting at you.
But I thought that once I open the door and get inside, it'll be okay.
Right.
But it wasn't. You have to go all the way inside, so I died. The moment I kind of opened the door, I was like, oh yeah, I got it. But then I died.
Yeah, that's kind of trap, because people who get used to there's like a classical game.
Yes.
Like once you go to the next
Level, yes.
You're safe.
Right.
But, this is not.
Everyone used to do that all the time in MGS1. Like for instance, when you go through the duct,
Right.
and it's the loading sequence, you're okay. Or you go past the checkpoint, and now you're okay. Things like that. We're used to that. But this didn't work.
Right.
Okay, Sean, let's go on to other tips and tricks.
Okay, so people may remember that back in South America, we discussed rare camouflage patterns that you could gather in the game. Well, one of those patterns is right here. So if you look outside towards that center area where the gecko is walking around, you'll see that there's that lift, and around that lift platform, that elevator platform, there's a red and white striped barrier. And if you lay down on top of that barrier, you can actually get a very rare camouflage pattern that you can only get here. And it's pretty neat. So people who want to try that should go ahead and grab that and save it into their camo pattern.
That's cool.
You know, one other thing, since we're here in Haven,
Yes.
let's talk about Haven Troopers, right? Because it's the only enemies here besides the Gecko. You know, you fought Haven Troopers before, you know, in the Middle East and all along the way, whenever you right before a boss fight, things like that. But in this stage, there's a lot of Haven Troopers, and it's, you know, it can be really challenging to do battle with them. And one thing, for people who haven't tried it, I'd encourage them to try and use CQC on the Haven Troopers.
Really?
Yeah. But, you know, the one thing that people may be aware of is if you do it from the front, they can actually counter your CQC.
Ooh, cool.
So you always have to do it from the back if you want to, you know, catch them. But it might be fun to just to do it from the front anyway, because they have a really cool animation that they do when you do it from the front and they counter you. And I think, you know, what happens is most people try and get out of it as soon as they get caught by that counter. So they only see the beginning of it, where basically they kind of use this cord to try and start strangling it, right? And I think, you know, at that point, most people just kind of like, you know, jam on the buttons and, you know, get out of it. But if you let it go, there's actually 3 stages to that entire animation. And it's pretty cool. So, you know, you're going to die if you do it, but, you know, it might be worth taking a look at. But
Very painful.
very painful. I heard that, you know, that
Sounds very painful.
the animator was just under a lot of stress when they requested this animation.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like their way of, you know, taking their stress out. Take it out on Snake.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, and one more CQC tip regarding, this is not just the Haven Troopers, but, you know, it's pretty effective on the Haven Troopers, is if you grab them in CQC, you can, you know, spin them around and use them as a human shield and hold them hostage.
Yeah.
And so in order to do that, you want to grab them with, you know, of course, your CQC button using the right R1 button. And then while you're holding them, press and hold L1.
For the handgun.
For the handgun.
Yeah.
And you'll pull out your handgun, and you'll be holding them while you're holding your handgun out. You can hold them hostage.
Yes.
And the other Haven Troopers won't attack you. So that's a useful strategy whenever you're fighting the Haven Troopers in the command center or Advent Palace or, you know, Wolf Battle, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But will the Gecko care?
The Gecko won't care. The Gecko will still mow you down, but the Haven Troopers will. They don't want to kill each other, so that works.
Okay.
And if you're having a hard time doing CQC because of this, you know, CQC counter, there's a way to get through it. You know, people who play fighting games may be aware, may use this strategy a lot in fighting games where you kind of like do a short jab before you do a big move. And, you know, it works in Metal Gear as well. So before you grab them using CQC, just kind of tap on the R1 lightly, and you'll do a jab. And that just kind of throws them off balance. And then you go and hold down R1, and then Snake will grab them. And then you can go into you know, CQC.
Yeah.
CQC grab.
So one jab, and then
So jab,
CQC.
then grab.
This is useful for all enemies.
Yeah.
For CQC, right?
Well, you know, for most enemies, you don't really need it.
That's true.
You know, but the Haven
For
Troopers,
Haven
because they have that
The counter. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so once you enter this door and run to the end of the hall, you'll see there's the elevator at the end here. And once you go in there, of course, the elevator will activate and you'll go down and go to the next stage, the boss battle with Screaming Mantis. So I think we will wrap it up here.
Okay. Well, basically, we took the shortest route, right?
Right, well, it's not necessarily the shortest, but it's the fastest way to get through without being spotted.
I see. I see. So this is Kojima Productions kind of recommended.
Yeah, so this-
Fastest and not getting spotted.
Right, so this is kind of like the route that we had in mind when we were making the stage. There are other routes, of course, but, you know, this is kind of like the optimal route
Right.
to get through.
So tell me, Sean, when Kojima Productions create a stage like this, do you actually create the correct one first?
Basically, well, you know, we always have a route in mind when we're creating things, and then, you know, the process kind of goes where we lock things in. You know, we just do really rough models, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of have a rough model, and just kind of test the gameplay first. You know, seeing, okay, what kind of routes does it look like there are, and if possible, we also plan more than one route. So, you know, we don't necessarily say, okay, it's this route or nothing, right? We always plan to have at least 2 different ways to get through the stage.
Yeah.
And usually there's a lot more. Like, if you look at, you know, the Middle East and Eastern stage or South America, I mean, there's just a lot of options you can take. You know, you can ally yourself with the militia, you can sneak through, you can run and gun. I mean, there's a lot of options, and even within those options, there's a lot of different paths you can take. And so, yeah, basically we think all that through, you know, ahead of time and just kind of, you know, say, okay, this is the type of gameplay that we want for this stage. You know, we want this area to be tense, so we'll have some guards here. Maybe, you know, since we're getting spotted, okay, put a box here. Okay, we'll hide behind this box. And then also tweaking things like the octo camo. So saying, okay, it's really hard here. There's not really many places to hide. Let's make it so that you can go along this wall, and you know, the octo camo will be, you know, pretty good. Things like that.
So Sean and his team playing this stage like over and over, and I figured out there was a good balance.
Right.
So you know, they basically make the right route from the beginning, but you know, they played so many times, and they might change some routes, and you know, and they figured out what's the best.
Right.
But don't you get kind of like confused because you know everything at all? So.
Well, and then we also have test plays, you know, within the office also, because that does happen. You know, after you're